The Witcher was supposed to be Netflix's crown jewel, a gritty fantasy epic that would stand alongside the greats like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. And for 3 seasons, that dream seemed possible. But let's be real, the only reason it ever worked was Henry Cavill. He wasn't just another actor, he was Geralt of Rivia. He fought for the lore, pushed the writers to respect Andrzej Sapkowski's books, and built a character that fans believed in. Then, in one of the most baffling moves in streaming history, Netflix let him go, and they replaced him with Liam Hemsworth, a move that Joe Rogan didn't just laugh at, he mocked mercilessly. Because in Rogan's eyes, this wasn't just bad casting, it was proof that Netflix didn't understand their own audience.
And it was not even a year ago where Henry very publicly said that he is committed to doing the planned 7 seasons of the Netflix Witcher on one condition. That condition being that the writers can manage to tell great stories while honoring the source material this show is apparently meant to be based on. Now,
oh, okay, well that actually does fucking indicate something, doesn't it? Let's read this again. Absolutely, he says, and this is a quote, "As long as we can keep telling great stories which honor Sapkowski's work." So I wonder what the odds are that a Netflix series isn't going to honor the original content of which the series is built off.
Joe Rogan has never been afraid to call things as he sees them. And when season 4's first trailer dropped, he couldn't resist. The backlash was so severe, the dislikes piled up faster than any other trailer in the franchise's history, and social media turned into a battlefield of memes, petitions, and angry fans. Rogan pointed out the obvious. The show flopped before it even aired. He said the moment Cavill left, Netflix should have ended the series with dignity. Instead, they doubled down, brought in Liam Hemsworth, and expected fans to just accept it. Rogan compared it to a band replacing their legendary frontman with a cover singer. Technically fine, but soulless. From the very beginning, Rogan mocked how Liam looked in the trailer. He joked about how Cavill's Geralt had that rugged, battle-worn energy while Liam looked like he had just stepped out of a shampoo commercial. Fans said the same thing, describing it as cosplay with a budget. And Rogan piled on, pointing out that Hemsworth seemed more like a stand-in than a lead. His movements were stiff, his voice didn't carry the weight Cavill brought, and his version of Geralt lacked the nuance and pain that defined the character. Rogan said it straight. It's like watching a cover band trying to play Metallica. Sure, they hit the notes, but the soul is gone.
Were you familiar with this, the Watcher before you, The Witcher?
The Witcher,
before
yeah.
you started?
I hadn't seen the TV show, and I hadn't read the book.
I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do this.
But Rogan's mockery didn't stop at Liam. He went after Netflix itself, calling out the arrogance of ignoring the fan base. He highlighted how Cavill, a self-professed gamer and Witcher nerd, fought tooth and nail to keep the story authentic. Yet the writers and executives brushed him off, chasing glossy visuals and Marvel-style humor instead of sticking to what made the story special. Rogan argued that Liam Hemsworth was a symptom of that problem, not the solution. To him, Liam represented Netflix's disregard for passion, a casting decision that was all about convenience rather than respect for the source material. Rogan even took aim at the numbers. He mocked how Netflix bragged about millions of views on the trailer, while conveniently ignoring the catastrophic dislike ratio and the flood of negative comments. He said, "This isn't engagement, it's rejection." Fans weren't excited, they were angry. They weren't debating the story, they were united in disgust. And Rogan made it clear the audience had already decided season 4 was dead on arrival.
What's this? Oh, I saw this. Henry Cavill says he's not a fan of sex scenes in film and television and believes that they're mostly a bit of a cop-out. Fucking true. Absolutely true.
It's when you have a sense that you're going, is this really necessary? Or is it people just with less clothing on?
Right.
Yeah. And that's where you start to get more uncomfortable and you're thinking, there's not a performance here. TV show or a movie is just filled with sort of gyrating bodies, and you're going, okay,
right.
But I mean, what is this doing for us, apart from the idea of like, oh, naked person, great.
Yeah.
The fallout became cultural. Petitions demanding Cavill's return gained traction. Hashtags like hashtag not my Geralt and hashtag cancel Witcher 4 trended. Reaction channels roasted the trailer frame by frame. Even mainstream outlets compared the backlash to Netflix's flop adaptations, like Cowboy Bebop. Rogan laughed at how Netflix managed to turn a beloved franchise into a punchline, all because they refused to listen. He argued that Cavill leaving should have been a wake-up call, but instead, Netflix dug in deeper. And then there was Liam's response. In interviews, he said he felt honored to continue Cavill's legacy. Rogan didn't hold back, mocking the phrase itself. Continue Cavill's legacy? That's like saying you're continuing Michael Jordan's legacy by shooting hoops in your driveway. Fans agreed. To them, Geralt's story ended when Cavill left. Everything after is a pale imitation. Rogan highlighted how Liam's words, instead of calming fans, only made things worse. They saw him as out of touch, a hired face trying to wear a crown that didn't belong to him. Rogan also pointed out the unfairness of the situation. Liam was walking into a role doomed from the start. No matter what he did, he would be compared to Cavill, and he would lose. Rogan mocked Netflix for setting him up to fail, but he also mocked Liam for accepting the role in the first place. You don't walk into a buzzsaw and then act surprised when it cuts you. That line echoed through fan forums, capturing the sentiment that Liam should have known better. By taking the job, he became the face of Netflix's betrayal. As the backlash grew, Rogan compared the situation to other franchises. He talked about how fans revolted when beloved characters were mishandled in Star Wars, how passionate audiences turned against studios when they felt disrespected. He said The Witcher was now in the same category, a once promising series destroyed not by budget or talent, but by arrogance. And he mocked the idea that Netflix thought they could push through with marketing campaigns and glossy trailers. You can't market your way out of betrayal, Rogan said. The most cutting part of Rogan's mockery, though, was directed at the show's decline. He noted that people weren't just criticizing the trailer, they weren't even finishing it. Analytics showed that average watch time plummeted after the first 30 seconds. Rogan laughed, saying, "Jay Siri, that's not hype, that's a public boo." And he emphasized that this wasn't just about Liam's performance, it was about the loss of trust. Fans no longer believed in the show, and no amount of special effects could bring that back. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill's career soared. Rogan pointed out the irony. Cavill walked away with his integrity intact, moving on to Warhammer 40K, a project already generating excitement because of his genuine passion. Fans began calling it the real fantasy epic while mocking The Witcher as a hollow shell. Rogan said it best, Cavill didn't lose The Witcher lost Cavill. And that phrase has since become a rallying cry for the fandom. By mid-release hype season, Rogan's comments were being clipped, memed, and shared across fan communities. Every time Netflix dropped a new promotional video, Rogan's mocking words resurfaced. His laughter at Liam's stiff movements, his sarcastic comparisons, his brutal honesty about Netflix's arrogance, it all echoed louder than the marketing campaigns. Rogan had become, unintentionally, a voice for the fans. The truth is, Rogan didn't need to convince anyone. The fans already knew the show had flopped. His role was simply to amplify that sentiment, to give it a stage. And by mocking Liam Hemsworth, he crystallized what the community was already feeling, that no matter how hard Liam tried, he would never be Henry Cavill and the show would never recover. As season 4 approaches, Netflix faces an impossible situation. They can release the episodes, but the narrative is already set. Rogan's mockery, combined with the fans' rejection, has cemented the season's reputation before it even begins. The Witcher, once a symbol of promise, is now a case study in how to alienate your audience, and Liam Hemsworth, fairly or unfairly, is the face of that collapse. Joe Rogan's laughter rings loudest because it's not just comedy, it's truth. The Witcher Season 4 has flopped before it even aired. Henry Cavill remains the true Geralt in the hearts of fans. Netflix has lost their crown jewel, and Liam Hemsworth has become the poster boy for one of the biggest missteps in streaming history. And as Rogan made perfectly clear, you can't replace passion with polish, you can't replace authenticity with convenience, and you sure as hell can't replace Henry Cavill with Liam Hemsworth. Because in the end, this isn't just a story about a show, it's a story about loyalty. Fans stood by Cavill because he stood by them. Netflix chose the easy way out, and Liam Hemsworth went along with it. The result? A flop so massive that even Joe Rogan can't stop laughing. The story of Joe Rogan mocking Liam Hemsworth over The Witcher only grew as more details came out about how the show was collapsing. Rogan didn't just stop at saying the series had flopped. He used it as a larger example of what happens when studios like Netflix try to treat fans like passive customers instead of passionate communities. On his podcast, he compared the outrage to a crowd at a comedy club booing a bad opener. Once the audience turns, there's no saving the show. And that's exactly what happened to Liam. He became the target of ridicule before even getting a chance to prove himself. And Rogan argued it was because he willingly stepped into a role that fans had declared sacred to Henry Cavill. What made Rogan's mockery sting even more was how he tied it to the broader collapse of Netflix's fantasy lineup. He pointed out that The Witcher was supposed to be their flagship, the series to rival HBO's House of the Dragon. Instead, Netflix's arrogance turned it into a joke. Every meme about Liam's shampoo commercial look, every fan edit comparing Cavill's gritty Geralt to Hemsworth's glossy version, was evidence that the audience had moved on. Rogan highlighted how the fans didn't just dislike the replacement, they mocked it relentlessly. And when fans start laughing at your product instead of engaging with it, Rogan said, "That's game over." Rogan also zeroed in on Liam Hemsworth's interviews. When Liam said he felt honored to take on Geralt, Rogan mocked the wording as hollow, suggesting it sounded more like a PR line than a genuine connection. He joked that if Liam truly felt honored, he would have respected Cavill's departure and declined the role rather than accepting the poisoned chalice. For Rogan, Liam's biggest mistake wasn't his acting, it was failing to read the room. Fans were begging for the series to end gracefully or reboot with Cavill's blessing, and instead Netflix paraded out a new face and called it continuity. Rogan laughed at how tone-deaf the entire strategy was. At the same time, Rogan praised Cavill for walking away when he did. He said Cavill's refusal to compromise turned him into a legend, while Liam's decision to accept the role made him the punchline. This sharp contrast became the narrative. Cavill was the hero who stood up for the fans, and Hemsworth was the opportunist who let himself be used as a corporate band-aid. Rogan's commentary didn't just mock Liam, it cemented that idea in the minds of millions. Fans clipped those segments and spread them across social media, making Rogan's laughter part of the backlash itself. And now, as the release of season 4 looms, the situation has gone from embarrassing to catastrophic. Analysts predict record low viewership for a show that was once Netflix's crown jewel. Fan meetups, conventions, and online forums no longer discuss excitement for new episodes. They discuss how badly Liam will be mocked once the season actually airs. Rogan's mocking tone has become the soundtrack for this downfall, reminding everyone that The Witcher without Cavill wasn't just a misstep. It was, as Rogan put it, a flop written in stone.